Hello everyone, Mr. Naughton here. We are starting a new unit. For the next few weeks, we will be covering addictions and we will be focusing on alcohol, tobacco, and illegal drugs. So the first topic we're going to be tackling is talking and informing you about alcohol. So, some things that we know and have been identified as happening for people who are dealing with alcoholism or consuming too much alcohol, or even sometimes just one bad night of drinking too much alcohol, can have a laundry list of problems that can lead down that road of consuming alcohol, especially at a young age, especially if it starts when you're young. So it could have a lot of economic effects. It can have a lot of social negative consequences, and it could lead to a lot of family problems and a lot of destructive problems. It could also lead to either depression or suicide or even potentially death as well. So it's just something to be informed that when someone is consuming alcohol, consuming too much alcohol, that you know these things can happen and have happened in the past. And here's some statistics to show you. About 50% of teenage deaths in the United States each year are related to alcohol or drug abuse. There are over 5 million problem drinkers or alcoholics between the ages of 14 and 17. So in this country alone, people your age, 5 million people your age, are considered problem drinkers or alcoholics. Over 50% of auto accidents, unplanned pregnancies, rapes, cases of domestic violence, suicides, and homicides are related to some sort of alcohol abuse. Over 40% of all traffic deaths are results from DUIs, people driving under the influence of alcohol. Over 70% of child abuse cases are alcohol related, and 8 teenagers die in this country every single day from alcohol related auto accidents. So, when we're talking about consuming alcoholic beverages, we usually measure them in per drink. So, an example of one drink, all of these things are equal. So, one shot of liquor, a 12-ounce glass of wine coolers, and a 12-ounce glass of beer, and a 5-ounce glass of wine. Those are all considered to be one drink. And we'll get into blood alcohol concentration a little bit in this lecture, and then moving forward in another lecture, another lesson as well. So some long-term effects. Alcohol has a lot of long-term effects when it is used, overused, and abused. Not just abused, just even if people are drinking recreationally or drinking moderately, it can still have a lot of long-term effects. Brain damage, loss of memory in the brain, confusion in the brain, cirrhosis of the liver, severe swelling and pain, throat cancer, different types of cancers as well, not just throat cancer, hepatitis, kidney failure, strokes and seizures. Obviously, drinking too much alcohol can lead to alcoholism, and the immune system can be suppressed as well, which can make you be at greater risk of getting sick more often when people consume alcohol. Also, when mothers are pregnant with their children and they're drinking alcohol, it can have negative effects on the babies being born in the womb and when they are born. Fetal alcohol syndrome is an illness in babies when they're born because of a mother has been either drinking or using alcohol or drugs, and there are a lot of physical deformities, and there are a lot of issues mentally as well with fetal alcohol syndrome, and you can see the physical deformities that are associated with fetal alcohol syndrome, and there are a lot of mental deformities as well. So when someone is pregnant or someone is thinking about becoming pregnant, they're always advised to not drink or consume alcohol or use tobacco products or drugs, because this could have potentially really negative side effects. So when we're talking about effects to the individual drinking themselves, a lot has to do with body chemistry, the size of the person, the amount of blood in the person and their metabolism all play a role in how alcohol affects each person, and alcohol will affect each person differently. It's going to affect a male differently from a female. It's going to affect a 17-year-old differently from a 50-year-old. It's going to affect a very, very tall person to a very, very short person, and it's going to affect a very slender person to a very large person. It's going to affect all those different types of people differently. Also, the amount of alcohol consumed and in what amount of time plays a huge role in alcohol and its effects. So there's a difference between drinking 4 beers in 1 hour versus drinking 4 beers over the period of 4 hours. And then also the actual alcohol itself, the proof or the alcohol percentage. The higher the proof, the greater the alcohol percentage. So, on average, most liquors are about 80 proof or 40% alcohol. Wines are around 12 proof or 6% alcohol, and most beers are roughly 8 proof or have 4% alcohol in them. So, the amount of percentage of alcohol in each drink is also going to play a huge role in the effects to the body. Your liver, one of the organs that is affected most by alcohol consumption. Your liver is the largest gland in the body. It's one of the most important organs in the body. It has over 500 functions. Just some highlighted functions that we've already known and discussed. It's the storage place for digested foods, minerals, vitamins, and glycogen. It regulates the level of blood sugar, and it helps produce bile, and it breaks down fat. So when people consume too much alcohol, there can be people have fatty liver, which alcohol interferes with the liver's ability to break down fat. So this could slow down reproductive activity of the liver cells, and these worn out liver cells are not replaced as quickly. These are both found in heavy and moderate drinkers, so not just people who drink heavily a lot. These also can cause kidneys to increase urine output, which makes them work harder. And we know that whenever the organs have to work harder, okay, there's always a possibility of breakdown. And so we never want our organs to be working harder than they should. We should have them work for us, obviously, but not harder than they should. Cirrhosis, heavy alcohol users destroy tissues in the liver, and then they are replaced with useless scar tissue. So again, the liver is destroyed, and the liver has to try to fix itself, and it's replaced with scar tissue, but it's not being used. So it's unused parts of the liver, which makes the rest of the liver have to work even harder. Blood flow is decreased, and liver function is impaired when this happens. Some symptoms: high blood pressure, swelling in the abdomen, and even jaundice, which is it's the skin turning yellow. So on the left is the picture of a healthy looking liver. In the middle, a picture of a liver with a moderate drinker, a person who had drinks here and there throughout their adulthood. And then on the right, the large and gross enlarged liver that heavy alcohol consumer has been liver is. So just shows you the difference between a healthy liver and the radical difference in a very, very unhealthy liver. Even the moderate drinker in the middle, you can see the change in color is something that is not very desirable. Because if this is what a perfectly healthy liver is supposed to look like, you can see this one is slightly enlarged and fattened, and it's probably not working as well. And you can obviously tell that this one probably no functioning going on whatsoever. So when someone consumes alcohol, most of the absorption happens in the small intestine, and the absorption will depend on the amount of alcohol that is consumed. It also depends on how fast or how slow that alcohol is consumed, the potency or proof of alcohol, your weight, if there is food in the body, or if alcohol is being drank with food, and tolerance. Tolerance is the buildup that people get when they start drinking. Other factors that influence the effects of alcohol is your mood and the social settings and if there's any drugs or expectation of drugs. Actually, the psychosocial influences can cause 70 to 80% of the effects of alcohol. Just the people you're hanging out with, the mood that you happen to be in, where you're at, and if you expect there to be, opportunities to take other types of drugs, could have a huge effect negatively on alcohol consumption. So when we're talking about drinking and driving, or drinking and then getting behind the wheel of an automobile, there are two different classifications. There is DUI, which is driving under the influence. This refers to all drugs, medicines, or alcoholic beverages. There is no legal limit for drugs or medicines. So if a cop pulls you over, police officer pulls you over and suspects you of having drugs or medicines, and they don't have to test you. There's no content that you can. There's no tests you can take. That they think that you're using drugs, they can pull you over and they can arrest you for a DUI. And then a DWI, it means driving while intoxicated. This refers to driving and being legally drunk. Illinois law has established the .08 as a legal intoxication limit for people 21 years and older. And we're talking about, this is what you should know right now. You should know that there is a zero tolerance law in Illinois that if you're under 21, you cannot have possession of, have consumed, or be driving under the influence of alcohol at all. If you are found to be in possession of alcohol in the car, $500 fine and up to 6 months in jail. If you are driving under the influence of alcohol, you can get up to a $2,500 fine, up to a year in jail, and you get your license suspended for a minimum of 2 years. If you are consuming alcohol and are caught, if you're anywhere, even if you're at your house, if you're at a party, if you're at a park, somewhere, you get up another $2,500 fine. You can spend up to 6 months in jail. And then if you are transporting alcohol, if you are taking alcohol to a place, you can have a $1,000 fine. You get license suspended for a year, and then you get your license taken away if there is a second offense. So if it happens a second time, you can get your license revoked and probably never get it back. So when people are of the legal age, they want to know, if they decide, they want to know is, well, how many drinks is it going to get me to over the legal limit? And when we're looking at males versus females, the average male, 170-pound male, the female 140-pound female. We're looking at numbers of drinks and alcohol consumption. So even at 0.01, so even at around having one drink of alcohol, your attention decreases. And when you get up to 0.02, which is just roughly about like a drink and a half to 2 drinks, your reaction time slows down. So when you're at 2 drinks, just around 2 drinks for your tracking and steering is affected. So when you're getting behind that wheel, just being able to see with your eyes and track different things with your eyes, and your steering ability actually is affected. When you get to about 3 drinks, ability to respond to an emergency is affected. So, slamming on the brakes if there is an accident, or if the light changes quickly, or, if there is a deer pops out or an animal pops out in the middle of the road, your ability to respond it slows down a lot. And then with 0.05, your coordination decreases. When you get up to about 4 drinks for males and about 2.5 drinks for females, the way you process information slows down and your judgment is impacted. And then when you get up to that legal limit, it's hard to concentrate and it's hard to control speed. So for females, you can see it's about 3 drinks. If you have 3 drinks in 1 hour, if you're over 21, they tell females not to get behind the wheel. And 4 drinks within an hour, definitely not get behind a wheel for a male. And then we'll talk about a little bit about like what happens when we get up into over that legal limit, and we could talk about alcohol poisoning and different effects to the body as well in our blood alcohol concentration segment. So if someone is caught with a DUI, someone's caught drunk driving, their first offense can be about $1,000 fine at minimum, and a minimum of 2 years of a license being revoked, of license being taken away. Second offense, $2,500 fine and a minimum of 5 years of their license being revoked. Third offense can cost them up to around $25,000 and a minimum of having their license taken away for 10 years. And then if there's any additional offenses, it's a $25,000 fine. They can serve long-term imprisonment, and they'll never be able to drive a car ever again. If there is an aggravated DUI, this is a class 4 felony. This is if anyone's injured during drinking and driving. You can get up a $25,000 fine. Imprisonment can be up to 12 years, and you can lose your license for a minimum of 1 year. A reckless vehicular homicide is a class 2 felony, so if you're driving and recklessly and someone is killed, another $25,000 fine. You can be in prison for up to 28 years, and you will not have your license for a minimum of 2 years. The average DUI costs around $10,000. Not just because of the fines that they show, the court fines that we saw before, but because of all these other miscellaneous fees that you have to pay during the course of getting your license back, making sure that you're not going to be drinking and driving again, and getting educated. So there's education class fees, there's towing services fees, there's probationary fees, there's bailing fees, there's evaluation fees, there's testing, and then there's attorney fees. So basically, drinking and driving and getting caught is about a $10,000 bill that's handed to you, with the potential of jail time and the potential of losing your opportunity to drive a vehicle. And a lot of people use driving vehicles to get to and from work for a lot of different purposes as well. So doesn't the risk does not outweigh the reward on this one, or the risk is too great. There's no reward for this when you're drinking and driving. Here's some statistics about drinking and driving. In 2008, over 50,000 people were arrested for DUI. There's an average of 300,000 people injured in DUIs. Although 16 to 24-year-olds comprise only 15% of the drivers in the state of Illinois, they're responsible for 38% of the fatal alcohol-related crashes. 33% of fatally injured are teen drivers, ages 16 to 19, where drinking was done before the crash. So a lot of statistics and a lot of things are telling us that even though it's illegal, even though there's a zero tolerance law out there, and even though we know the fines and the situations that could happen if we drink and get behind the wheel, people are still doing it on a daily basis, and they're still killing themselves, and they're still killing other people. So hopefully, you will be wise and smart if you're choosing to drink alcohol, that you're not getting behind the wheel, that if you are choosing if you are making that choice, that you are making the wisest choice you can in getting a ride or walking home. We can never tell you that you can't do something. But what we will, as educators, tell you is that if you're going to do something, you have to be smart about it. If you're choosing to be drinking right now, then you have to be smart and don't get behind the wheel, because you potentially harm someone else, or you could potentially kill yourself or kill others. That's all we have for today. We will talk a little bit more about alcohol and alcoholism and effects and consequences of alcoholism in the next few lessons. So until that time, this is Mr. Naughton signing out. Thanks for listening.